One of the things I've been thinking about most recently when it comes to the upcoming Demon Slayer PS4 game is duplicate characters. This is not something I wanted to cover in my roster video that I recently did, but ever since I did do that video, I've been asked multiple questions about what characters I think are going to get duplicate character slots, mostly about Tanjiro. So that's what today's video is going to be about. CyberConnect 2 is no stranger to the idea of duplicate characters. I think there's like 6 Narutos and 6 Sasukes in Storm 4, and I don't even think that's counting DLC. And granted, it took them like 5 games to actually get to that point, but regardless, I would be shocked if there was no duplicate characters in the Demon Slayer game. So who are the characters who could possibly receive a duplicate character slot? Well, obviously there is Tanjiro, but because he seems like the most likely, I'm going to leave him for last. Also, remember that I'm going to keep this discussion reserved to exclusively Season 1 and the train arc, because I think that's the bare minimum that will be covered in this game. I think at least Season 1 will be covered, possibly the movie will be covered in the base game, but regardless, I think it would be covered in DLC if it's not covered in the base game, and they might go past that point, but it's not something I'm expecting. My point is that at the bare minimum, I think we'll get to the train arc, and I won't be going past that because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. Also, guys, this is just a quick disclaimer for all of the manga readers in the comment section. I've read all of the manga. Please do not go out of your way to explain something to me in the comment section. All you accomplish by doing that is spoiling it for other people in the comments. I specifically went out of my way to read all of the manga before I started talking about this game because I didn't want other people to spoil it for me. I've been on YouTube long enough. I know how this goes. This is not my first rodeo. I've covered plenty of anime games in the past, and I know for a fact that if I do decide to cover an anime game, people are going to spoil that for me. Not necessarily deliberately, but they'll ask questions, and then by virtue of having these discussions, I'm going to run into spoilers. So with Demon Slayer, because I love it so much, I decided to read ahead before I started covering this game because I didn't want people to spoil it for me. So if you go into the comment section trying to tell me something about the manga, all you're doing is ruining it for everyone else down there. Please don't do that. I've already seen so much of that in my comment section, and it's a damn shame. This series is too awesome to ruin it for everyone else. So please, if you must talk about the manga with me, my DMs are open on Twitter. Don't ruin the comment section. With that out of the way, let's talk about Nezuko. Nezuko mostly has the exact same moveset throughout Season 1. She does end up figuring out how to use her demon art at episode 19, and as much as I would want to have 2 separate playable versions of Nezuko, I don't think this is going to be enough to warrant an additional character slot. Instead, I think what they're going to do is they're going to have like the base version of Nezuko, and then that base version of Nezuko can use her demon art in her ultimate technique or her super move or whatever they end up calling their cinematic attacks in this game. In the Storm series, they were called ultimate jutsus. Who knows what they're going to be called in this game. Nezuko is very new to using her demon art at this point in the story, and she only uses it as one big finishing attack, so it makes the most sense to have that incorporated into her super move. I don't think Inosuke is a character that initially comes to mind when you start thinking about duplicate characters, but I personally really hope that this ends up happening. I'm not expecting it because it's a fairly small thing and I don't even think a lot of people remember it, but when Inosuke was initially revealed to us, the audience, he was using nothing but his fists and his legs to fight off Tanjiro, and even though it's just practically a one-off thing that this character does, it's not really a big thing for his character, I would really love to see this fast-paced, animalistic style movement from the character be playable. Again, it's not something I'm expecting to see, but it would make me very happy to see this version of Inosuke playable from that Inosuke versus Tanjiro fight. So far, we've only talked about main characters, but there is a demon who could theoretically have 2 different movesets, or I should say a duplicate character, and that's actually the demon mother. She's the one who uses all the puppets. I could actually see her having 2 separate movesets, one where she's controlling the headless demon, and the other one where she's controlling demon slayers. I think the most likely outcome for this character is that she'll kind of just have the option to control one or the other, and they'll both be incorporated into her moveset, switching between the 2 of them kind of seamlessly, or they could even make the demon puppet a part of her ultimate technique or super move or whatever. But there is a chance that she could actually have 2 different playable versions, so I thought I would bring it up here. Then, of course, there's Tanjiro Kamado. I think Tanjiro will definitely have 2 separate versions of the character be playable, especially if the game's story goes up to the movie. I don't think I need to specify what the difference is between the 2 playable versions, but just in case, the playable version of Tanjiro that we've seen so far appears to be just the version from the final selection arc, which could in theory be our only playable version of the character because he could just kind of be upgraded as he goes through the story. But considering this screenshot here, which appears to be some type of super attack, ultimate jutsu, whatever you want to call it, and if you haven't seen my reference references video, which I uploaded, I think, yesterday by the time this goes up, this is his 4th form striking tide technique. And all things considered, this is not even one of his most impressive techniques, even pre-Hinokami. So I'm guessing this is going to be a playable version of a very, very early version of Tanjiro. While the second version of the character wouldn't be full-on Hinokami Tanjiro. Instead, it would be a more proficient user of water-breathing techniques that also has Hinokami as a part of his ultimate technique or ultimate jutsu or whatever. We really need a name for that, so I don't have to keep mentioning that it's like the super ultimate jutsu thing. I do actually think there is a slim chance of a third playable version of Tanjiro, kind of like an in-between point of the two we've already talked about, where he can also fight with Nezuko, because that's obviously a pretty big theme of Demon Slayer. Tanjiro and his sister fighting together in their quest to avenge their family, or whatever. And yeah, I think that's incredibly important for the theme of Demon Slayer. But instead of incorporating that into a third playable version of Tanjiro, I think what they're probably going to end up doing is just kind of have a universal assist system throughout the game, so you can constantly be working with different teammates throughout the story mode. CC2 is no stranger to this. Of course, the Storm games use a tag system that features assist, and I think that we're probably going to see a lot of similar systems to the Storm series, hopefully not substitution jutsu, because I hated substitution jutsu. Perhaps maybe that's another video we could talk about, different features that we would like to see in the game and gameplay mechanics and all that stuff. In fact, I'll start working on that video now because I'm sure you guys are going to want to see something like that. But the conclusion of this video is that I think we will definitely get 2 versions of Tanjiro be playable, but apart from that, I'm not expecting any additional duplicate characters. Of course, I mentioned a couple that are possible, Nezuko, Inosuke, and the Mother Demon, but that's really all I could see possibly getting duplicate characters. And of course, this video doesn't take into account DLC, which could open up a lot of this conversation for a bunch of different characters that were not mentioned, especially if that DLC starts to dip into spoiler territory, which is a possibility. I'm just not necessarily expecting it. All right, with that out of the way, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Bilbzy, and I'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Have a fantastic and safe day.